Hey friends, welcome back to noseyAF, conversations about art, activism, and social change. I'm your host and friend, Stephanie Graham, and guys, over here at noseyAF, we've been getting our party on celebrating Black Business Month, where we are speaking to a Black business owner every day this month, which I personally love because ain't no party like a Black business party. Am I right? Am I right? Y'all, today's guest is Javondlynn Dunagan, a founder of JMD Defense and the Ladies of Steel Gun Club, which is a 700 plus women ages 20 to 80 learning firearm safety together. Javondlynn retired from a 25-year career as a U.S. probation officer at 49 and has built this wonderful education platform community for fire safety. And she's going to tell it all yourself because you know what? She was scared of guns at first. So I was personally really interested in this because I've never had anybody talk about gun safety, even in like their art practice before. So listen, we're going to play the theme song and then we're going to get into our conversation with Javondlynn. So welcome to noseyAF.
Gotta get up, tell the whole world you a winner. Vision of a star with a mission and a cause. What you doing, how you doing, what you doing, and who you are. Flex yourself, impress yourself. Check yourself, don't wreck yourself. If you know me, then you know that I be knowing what's up. Hey, Stephanie Graham is nosy as
Javondlynn, welcome to noseyAF.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm really excited because we are real life neighbors.
Yes.
And it's like such a dream to talk to you because I always like on this show talk about like being a neighbor, being a good neighbor. And so I'm like, I have like an excellent neighbor on the show. So that's really, really cool. Yeah. So thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So we're here to talk about your company, JMD Defense. And for those who are just meeting you for the first time, what led you from a 25-year career as a U.S. probation officer to entrepreneurship?
So, when I was thinking about retiring, one of the benefits of federal law enforcement is that we get to leave early.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to leave at 57, but you can leave as early as 50. But if you've put in 25 years, you can leave 25 years later. So
Wow.
I started at 24, and that meant at 49, I had one extra year that I could take advantage of. So, you know, thinking about my mom, she didn't retire early. She worked until, her health declined. And I said every generation should do something better and strive higher than the previous generation. So retiring at 49 was scary, but it was necessary because of the stress. So I loved my career, but it was time to go because I had hit a wall.
Mm.
I just had hit a wall. So I left 8 years on the table, but in the end, it was the best decision I could have made because towards the end of my career, I finally decided to take up the firearm training and then started noticing the difference between women and men in how they train and learn how to shoot. So that's how the business was sparked because I realized that women are sponges. So
Mm.
we want to learn anything we don't know. We don't try to have that bravado like I already know this. So um, I really wanted to start this business to really focus on women overcoming their fear of firearms.
Yeah, I think it's really good that you have this business because, yeah, guns, you know, are scary.
Mhm, mhm.
No, there's that phrase like, oh, guns don't hurt people hurt people, or, something like that. So
Yeah.
was there something that you noticed about women also outside of just women being sponges and they need to have this education? Was there like a certain incident that you noticed where you're like, you know what, let me hold a class or
Yeah, something as simple as I was going to the range when I retired,
mm-hmm.
and I never saw women at the range by themselves or in a group. And you go to the range and you see men, and they built this instant camaraderie at the range, but I didn't see that with women. You would see women with a man, and then unfortunately, you would see him teaching her all of the wrong things. And some, are good instructors that are friends, they're not officially instructors. But I know what I was learning and had learned from my employer, the feds, which, top notch law enforcement. So what I saw, I said, it's really hard for your intimate partner to teach you something that they expect you to understand. And the reason I say that is men or your partners tend to think, well, you're dynamic in all these areas, and why can't you get this? So then it turns into they're hollering at you, and the expectation is so high. But this is something very different for us, and it does make us fearful. So I realized I said your intimate partner can't teach you how to shoot. And there are oftentimes I've met police and they said, I'm sending my mother to you. I'm
Yeah.
sending my daughter to you or because they cannot be compassionate as we go through the stages of learning how to shoot.
Yeah. Is it is it hard to learn how to shoot? Like, when we sign up for your classes, like, what are we signing up for? Is it just sounds intimidating.
Yeah, so what I tell people, because for me, a quick little story.
Mhm.
Years ago at the job, because when I started the job, I was the only person that wasn't interested in learning how to shoot. They gave us a option, and I took advantage of it. I said, I don't really want to learn how to shoot. I'm good. But the very first time tried to take the class, the clicking of the revolver was really intimidating, and I could feel it. My mind was going 50 million places, and I left training early.
Wow.
So what happens is we think about the gun killing somebody, as you
Yeah.
said in the beginning, but the gun has to have a human interaction in order for something to happen. So because my business is highly focused on safety, we've never had an incident in 10 years with anyone doing anything negligent, not accidental, because accidental is given that the gun did something. Negligence is the owner did something. So to answer your question, it's intimidating and scary because what we think about in the forefront is that this gun could kill somebody or kill me.
Yeah.
But if you
Yeah.
handle it properly, and I always tell people if you pay attention on the first day, you'll get through the second day and you'll be smiling and jumping up because you'll feel accomplished. So I had these same fears that everyone tells me about. And that's what I believe makes me effective in my business because I understand where they came from. I didn't start with, oh, I'm a gun enthusiast, so you need to get this. I see the fear and I walk people through the fear at their pace. I don't rush anybody. I just don't.
Yeah. That's nice. Yeah. I think automatically it sounds like it's way better to be with you than our partner because we're not gonna be yelled at.
Yes, yes, yes.
Looking back, were there lessons from your probation officer career that directly influenced how you teach personal safety today?
Yes, so not carrying a gun, I needed to be very aware of my surroundings
Mhm.
because I didn't have anything other than my brain. So I tell people if you had to leave the gun at home, are you gonna use your brain or are you gonna try to revert back to, "Oh my god, I gotta carry my gun everywhere." Like today I went out it was last night, I went out to an event and my gun didn't allow me to be it didn't allow me my outfit didn't allow for me to carry my gun on me. So I had to think about anything that could go wrong, but I had to use my brain because my gun was at home, right?
Yeah.
Or it could have been in my car. So, what happens is people have a gun and then they have a false sense of hope or a false sense of bravado when even with the gun the goal is not to have to pull it out and use it. You want to be thinking about, do I need to use this gun as a last resort?
Yeah.
So the main I think incident that helped me to decide what is necessary and what isn't is being in situations where you see your officers kind of flexing with a gun and you realizing, "Oh, let me make sure I help them to understand your gun is not gonna keep you safe. It's how you interact with people that's gonna keep you safe."
Yeah. That's so true. And you often talk about situational awareness. How do you define it, and why do you think so many people misunderstand what it actually means?
Yeah. Situational awareness really is in any environment, are you watching your surroundings? So the perfect example is you go into a space. And generally, if something goes down, people are going to exit the same way they came in because that's what they're familiar with. But when I go into a space, I'm looking for exits. And if an exit, think about a movie theater. If the exit is behind you, because
Yeah,
that's where we entered, there's an exit usually in front of you on both sides, but people run back the way they came in. So when I'm in church, I'm watching the security guards because they're watching us, and if they start moving and start looking in their camera, in their earpiece, then I know something is going down, right? So
yeah,
I'm listening to the pastor, but I'm watching security. And that's situational awareness. You want to be thinking ahead of what could happen and kind of predicting. And one of my mottos is I'm prepared and paranoid. So I'm a little bit of both so that nothing will happen to me.
yeah. Could you give advice for how somebody can develop situational awareness?
Yeah, so one of the things I tell people is not to have earplugs in your ear, not both, because now these earplugs can drown out everything, right?
Yeah.
I tell people when you're going into a parking structure and you're going to an event where you cannot have your gun, even if you had it. Some of these garage structures are so isolated. A girl just was assaulted in
Mm.
Arlington Heights in a parking structure.
Oh, wow.
So what I say is drive when you're looking for a space, drive intentionally to the location where you see the elevator and then go park. So you know if something happens, you know where the elevator is because you've already identified where it is. If I get in, most people drive, they find a space and they get out, and then they're
Yeah.
wandering around looking for the space, right?
Yes, that's me.
Um, and we do that. And then also when you're in a parking garage, the beams are so thick that somebody could be standing behind a beam and you don't even know it because you're just jumping out your car, getting to your space, or you're on your way back to your space. So I can give one quick example too. At home, most people have motion detectors on their home.
Yeah.
And the thing about a motion detector, it activates when there's motion. So if I stand still, in front of your garage on the side, we know how our garages are made. If I stand still on the side of your garage, it's not going to move. So you don't think it's any motion. Anybody's there. But when you come in to your garage, it activates because you think you activated it, but the person could still be standing on the side of your garage.
Oh my gosh.
So what happens, people don't think about that. So I recommend people get dusk to dawn lights so they're always on and you're not looking for motion to activate it. You should be looking when you drive into your garage, is anybody on the side of my house?
Yeah.
So that's it. I mean, that's the simplest thing is being aware of everything when you go to restaurants, when you go to church. When we go out of town, we let our guards down because
Yeah.
we're footloose and fancy free, and criminals travel everywhere. They're everywhere.
Yeah. They're all out here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are there common mistakes people make unintentionally that put them at greater risk?
Yeah, I've seen people get out the car to get gas and they leave it running. Um,
Yeah.
that's you would think that wouldn't be common, but I see it. Um, when it comes to potential carjacking situations, I've seen people at the front light on their phones waiting for the light to change, and you're most vulnerable at the front of the light because they could jump in the car, and move over. I mean, and take your car. I think people are most vulnerable when they're in their homes because people come home and maybe not turn on their alarms on motion off so that while you're in home, like I'm in my house now, if I hear my alarm go off, that means there's an intruder in my house because
Yeah.
my alarm is on, my doors are locked. I mean, unfortunately, as Black people in some neighborhoods, maybe the majority of the ones we live in,
Yeah.
we don't have the luxury of leaving windows open overnight and doors unlocked. Um, people come in their garages and leave the interior door unlocked. There are not enough police to get to us fast enough. And so we do a lot of things being laxed, not thinking that all a criminal needs is an opportunity.
Yeah.
And I tell people to think like a criminal. What would they do? And that's how I think. What would a criminal do? And what would I do to not do what they do?
What's the difference between being aware and being afraid?
So when I talked about being paranoid and prepared,
Prepared, yeah.
um, so what that means in being afraid or aware, I'm aware if I go to a restaurant that somebody could come in and snatch my purse if I have it on the back of my chair,
Yeah.
or I have something in my lap. Being aware, not being, I don't want to say being afraid that somebody could come in, and just run in and do something. But being aware is where am I seated at the restaurant so I could see the entrance, right?
Yeah.
And when I'm in the restaurant, if something happened, am I aware that I could exit this door? Now, some people don't want to think about what could go wrong. And I'm like to think about worst case scenario. If something happens, what would I do? Everybody doesn't think like that all the time. And when I go out of town on vacation, I try to think like that too, because I don't have my gun. So I
Yeah.
really try to always think about, man, is there an exit to get out of this place and what's going on? And then I watch behavior. I watch people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do.
Stay aware.
Mm-hmm.
Pay attention to people.
Mm-hmm.
You get to people watch doing it that way.
You do. You do. And I do
Oh,
one thing I do tell people is watch people's hands. So if
okay.
people are standing in front of you, around you, and their hands are in their pocket, that's weird, right? Unless you just kind of notice that this is like their
Yeah,
normal
unless it's like
stance.
wintertime or something.
Right. But I watch people's hands, I watch people's eye movements. Um, I do. And I think it's a telltale sign sometimes if somebody is up to no good, if they have a gun or something. I'm watching because if you notice in police shows or whatever, they'll tell them to take your hands out your pocket.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
do. They
yeah.
do. Yeah.
You have the Ladies of Steel Gun Club,
Mhm.
right? Which who doesn't like to be a part of a club? I mean, let's be
Right.
honest.
It's true.
It grew from 7 members to more than 700.
Mhm.
What do you think resonated so strongly with the women to join a club?
So I think a few things happen. I transparently tell my story
Mhm.
about being afraid of guns, and then look at me now. This is what I tell them. I also um, think that women have a need for community when they're learning something, right?
Yeah.
So you rarely will see someone do something individually, especially if they're really fearful of it, because they need somebody else that might be fearful or somebody to cheer them on. So it kind of grew from 25 people and it had just started ballooning. But I think what happened is I developed a process to empower them to accomplish something that they never thought they would, something scary, and then they could be badasses and be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this." But the main thing that I think has attracted women to us is that we don't look like men.
Yeah.
We're cute, and I have a T-shirt that's called "I'm cute and I can shoot." So that yeah, so that, helps the women to see I don't have to look like a man to carry a gun,
Yeah.
and then I try to always show them other options and ways to carry a firearm. So I think it resonated with them hearing my story, finding out when we get together that they know some other people, and now we started doing some social things, which helps women as well.
Yeah.
They didn't wanna just go shooting, they kinda wanted to do some other things. So, I think it's and let me tell you, we have no drama. I
Yeah.
put a lady out of the club
Mm.
because, she was, kinda out of control when we went to Cooper's Hawk one time for a Christmas event, and I was real clear and said to everyone, "This is not about me making money. This is my brand and my name,
Yeah.
and there's no room for horseplay with guns." Even though she didn't have a gun, I just said, "When we're out together at an event like this, you're representing the club.
Yeah.
You're not representing you because they're gonna say those ladies are still one of them acted a fool." So, I think that's what helps, that ladies know we can have a lot of drama
Yeah.
in things, but 700 and something women don't all come together. We have about 250 that are active now, but we've never had any trauma other than that one time.
Yeah. And you guys have a documentary, right? Is there a documentary about
Yeah,
y'all? Yeah, that's really cool.
it
How
is, it
did that
is.
come about?
So, people tend to over the years, I got a lot of press, and people come and they want to tell their story about us. So they interview me, and then, 90% of the time it's been fine. But last year I said, we really have a story to tell. There's no other gun club that is unique in doing what we're doing. Some of them are joint, and I didn't want a joint gun club. We do have a men's club now. I resisted doing it because men don't need a gun club.
Right.
And so I reached out to a few people, got referrals, and then remembered that there was a Hamptonian that I had met that said she worked in the film industry and she was a filmmaker. So I called her, and she said, "Absolutely, let's work together. If I could have full producer rights." I said, "Yeah, I know what story I want told."
Yeah, you're like, "I just want a
And
movie."
yeah, yeah, it's like it's something to see women of all ages from 20 to 80 learn how to use a gun.
Yeah.
So that is how the documentary came about. It took us a year, but it was well worth it.
Can we see the documentary?
Yes. So technically, we have put the documentary entered into various film fests. So
Okay.
I'm praying we get picked for a Chicago screening
Mhm.
so I can show it there. If we do not, then I'm gonna go with plan B and rent out a space for the second showing. We did just do a showing in Governor State. We did two.
Oh, no
And it was
way.
yeah, and it was
Wow.
well received, and so I'm gonna plan for another one. I just have not, I'm waiting to see if we win these, film fests, and I pray
Sure.
one of them's in Chicago so that we can do that.
Yeah, that's really cool. What surprised you most about the women who've joined the club? Have you seen, like, confidence, friendships? Like, what surprised you?
We as women, we tend to embrace people, period. We're nurturers, right?
Yeah.
So what has surprised me is when you see a lady in the beginning come in and be nervous. You could feel it, you could see it. And then how they embrace her to say, "Look, hey, this is where I came from. You could get here." And it's no competition. It's not
Yeah.
like, look at me, let me show you what I do." What also surprised me, and most people that interview me think that our women have been victims and they're here to take that revenge, but no, next time Imma get them.
Yeah.
What the women that are in the group are here as proactive members. So they're trying to protect themselves in the event something happens. I think that has surprised me most, but what I don't do is talk about domestic violence victims and trying to push them this way,
Yeah.
because that is a different, beast that I don't wanna deal with until I can really work with them into in a group setting to say, "You can't just pull out your gun because he jumped out the bushes."
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You gotta really think this through. So, I did start a foundation, JMD Defense Safety Academy, to focus on trying to get grants so that I can focus on those populations that are afraid of firearms, like terrified, like domestic violence victims. Men and women. Men go through it too, but mainly women. So that is what has surprised me, that my clientele, 90 something percent have never been victimized. But that other group that's out here, they need to learn some self-defense, and they may be ready but I focus on temperament, so they may not be ready.
Yeah, and I remember one time you telling me that, sometimes it's not always about, like, am I gonna, shoot someone? Sometimes you need to know how to handle a gun,
Right.
just like learning that. I remember when my grandfather passed, he had a gun in his house,
Mhm.
and, like, we all were so afraid to touch it. I had to ask a friend to go in and, like, grab it for us and stuff because I was just so afraid, and I'm like, that really just sorta helped me think, like, "Oh, yeah, that's just smart in itself." I just
Right.
finished working on, the TV show The Chi, and they, always are, like, having they all, like, have guns as props, and even that I was, like, afraid, even if they're, like, fake, right?
Right.
They're fake or and it was just so intimidating, so I'm like it made me think about our conversation of just, like, having the education just to know, like, what the experience of even holding a gun is, like, the parts of a gun, just because it's so, as I started the conversation with scary, it's just good to have that education.
It is, one of my friends was involved in a domestic situation,
Mhm.
and an ex-boyfriend, came through the window and was waiting on her when she got home from
Wow.
a date with the new boyfriend and terrorized them, and there was an opportunity for her to get a hold of the gun. She tried to kick the gun to the new boyfriend, and he missed her cue. So the guy picked up the gun and shot the guy and shot her. Killed him,
Wow.
but she survived. And what
Wow.
she said was, if I knew how to pick up the gun and wasn't afraid of the gun, paralyzed fear, she would have picked up the gun and shot her. So
Yeah.
that's one of those reasons I do offer an intro to firearms class because some people just want the knowledge. So if they're ever in a situation, they know what to do. I used to look at a gun and be shaking like, oh my God, that gun is going to hurt me. The
Yeah.
gun was sitting there and nothing was happening. But I didn't understand it because I hadn't gone through safety training and, ad nauseum to find out what to do, what not to do. So some of it is just overcoming your fear of even touching the gun. And then
Yeah.
the next step, the final step, is the shooting the gun. And some people may stop at, I just want a gun in the house. I'll never carry it outside. And some people may not want to carry a gun at all. They just need to know the knowledge.
Yeah. So with JMD Defense, is it like a suite of classes that you have? It's sort of like a full curriculum.
It is. So I have a intro to firearms class, then concealed carry. I also offer gun cleaning classes, how to purchase a firearm. So, what happens, and
Mm.
we will go and buy a car and they'll sell us what they want us to buy. You'll go and buy a gun and they'll tell you what gun is best for women. And there's no gun best for women.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing, right? So I love that class because I'm helping empower women to go to the gun store and know exactly what they want, right?
Yeah.
And so I also offer a draw from concealment class. So every class kind of builds from the previous one. So the draw from concealment is if you have a gun and you're carrying it, do you know how to snatch it out of the holster and shoot on target the
Mm.
correct way? And so those are the classes I maybe I do have a service that I provide. So like what happened, you said you found your grandfather's gun. So what I do is provide a service that when people pass away and a relative is going through the house and they find a gun, some people are afraid to handle the gun.
Yeah.
So what I do is come and make sure the gun is unloaded and let them know this gun can either be sold or kept as a collector's item. Most of them are. And that if you're gonna carry it, go take it to get clean. So that's just another service that I provide that people need and they don't think about it.
Yeah. That's really nice. I definitely would've used that service. I had to call, like, an ex
Mhm.
and say, "Will you come get this gun?"
Mhm. Mhm.
Thinking back about your documentary that you did, um, what story were you hoping the filmmakers would capture about your organization?
What she captured, what I was hoping was for her to show the confidence that these Black women, um, possessed and how they became so confident over the years, right?
Mhm.
So it really did show these ladies confidently handling their guns at the range, talking about feeling empowered and, never having held a gun to the point that now they've gone through a sharpshooters program.
Yeah, wow.
Or yeah, or one lady saying, "I have multiple guns and I'm good." Her husband is not into guns, but she's the badass that's gonna protect the family if she needs to. And what I love about that part of the story too is even if the women are married or they're single, they're taking responsibility for their own safety. And
Yeah.
that's what I wanted the, documentary to show, that most of us, even if you're in a relationship, we're generally traveling to and from places by ourselves.
Yeah.
Even to meet your partner if you're going out to dinner or, whatever, but we're usually by ourselves, coming in and out of our homes. So that was what, I wanted to show, this level of confidence, and I also wanted to show a variety of ages
Mm.
in the documentary as well.
And what do you hope audiences take away when they watch the film?
I hope they take away the importance of learning about firearm safety, even
Yeah.
if they don't want to have a gun. And I want women to think about, if you're going to own a gun, buy a gun, whatever, get with the right group and training environment, because firearm education doesn't stop after you take a concealed carry class.
Yeah.
And it that's the disservice we do to people, because they stop there and then it shows up, because when something goes down, they either shoot the wrong person, they don't know what they're doing, or they harm themselves, or they get killed because they haven't practiced. And so, one of the things that I'm proud about with our gun club is that we have a meeting once a month and I share anything related to firearm education, right? If I bring a speaker in or it's something I'm talking to them about, we have firearm education once a month. That is what I strongly believe has helped our ladies to make good, solid decisions with their guns, and that we, knock on wood, have not had any mishaps.
Yeah, that's really a blessing, and you're so right. You only hear that people just have taken, like, a weekend class, and then that's it. I didn't
And
even think about that it's supposed to be, like, an
it
ongoing
should.
thing. Yeah.
It should. And people are carrying guns, and it's like, "Oh, yeah, I got a gun," and when it's time to use it, they pull it out, and they don't know what they're doing, and that's the scary part.
Yeah, because it's like, you could take this class, and then it's, like, years later, and you can't remember. You have to, like, be in practice about it.
You do, and every time something happens, if you go to the range, every time you're pulling the gun up at the same level and you're shooting. It's muscle memory. But if you haven't been doing that and a incident occurs, you're struggling to load the gun. You're struggling to figure out, okay, now do I do this, or this? That's the problem. So
Yeah.
you need to know that your gun is going to work, that you've cleaned it, that it's going to operate, and that you might be nervous, but you shouldn't be paralyzed with fear if you have to use it, because you've shot it and you know what it's gonna do.
Yeah. What was it like being a subject of a documentary? Did you learn anything about yourself?
Well, what's interesting is I I didn't want I didn't want it to talk about me, but it did talk about me. It showed
Mhm.
who I was, who I am in a story. Um, I learned, and I didn't realize it, but I learned that I'm very much an encourager when we're at the range, because you'll hear me say, "Good job, yes." And so I'm sounding like a coach on a team on the sidelines. Um, and what I learned too is how the ladies follow my instruction. And that and then it wasn't that I didn't think that they did, but it shows when we're at the range in the different film sections. So that's probably all. I mean, I'm shy in a lot of ways, that I don't like a lot of attention on me, but I
Yeah.
forgot the camera was there. So that's what was really interesting, because I would have probably been more self-conscious about the camera, and I wasn't. Even as I watched it, I wasn't thinking like, "Oh, I've gained a lot of weight, but I've lost weight now, so ooh, I look bigger then." And sometimes you'll be worried about, is your hair out of place, and it's funny. I know it was God, because I had a spirit of peace, that I didn't focus on that. He wanted me to focus on the story.
Yeah,
And I've watched it over 15 times, and not one time did I criticize myself. So that's what I learned,
that's good.
that a story was to be told, and I shouldn't have thought about what I looked like because it was told, and I was
Yeah,
pleased.
that's really cool. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's really exciting. As a Black woman building a business in a space where we don't often see ourselves represented, what challenges and opportunities have you encountered?
I love this question. I do.
Thanks. Yeah.
Um, this is a male-dominated field, and I have really been embraced, by white males in some respect when I'm at the range, because there's no competition with them. And I hate to say this, just that, the reality is I got a lot of publicity when I started the business. And I could tell some people, don't care for women instructors. I do have two buddies that are instructors who are super supportive, but I've seen the aggression when I'm at the range, right? With one guy for sure, two of them, I should say. And what I've seen is at one point, I had 2 male instructors that worked with me. One time, they would not be together, but, if I was teaching a class or they were teaching a class, we were there together, tag teaming on a Sunday because it's a two-part that we need to do. And they would go to the men and ask them about the business. And when
Mhm.
they would tell them, "Well, this is the owner," the energy would shift. And I remember one guy said, "Hey, my girl needs to learn how to shoot," da da. He says, "Well, hey, this is Lynn, this is the owner." And it was like, "Oh," and he walked away. So that has
Wow.
been, oh yeah,
Wow.
oh yeah, oh yeah. And so that's been striking because I'm dismissed in some ways. I see people admiring or watching from afar. Um, but it doesn't bother me because I know it's a male dominated field. And I know what I know, and I know what I don't know, and I don't try to be Rambo girl, and I don't try to compete, with anybody. I have a divine assignment, and my assignment is mine. And this was not something I ever thought I'd be doing in retirement. I know this ain't me. I know this is God, because I was
Yeah.
scared of guns, terrified, and I know my place, and I know what I know. And so that's been the biggest surprise, the way I've been embraced with some, and then others are like, that's that. So that's it.
Unbelievable. It reminds me there's a story of I was in a photo club with this photographer who was a pilot, and he met a couple who was getting married. She said she was fearful of flying, but her
Mhm,
fiance wanted to, like, go to Hawaii or something, and so she hired him to take, some private lessons, like, to get used to flying or
mhm,
whatever, and she said, "Oh, this is sort of fun, I wanna go back up." He said that that woman started taking flight lessons and pursued becoming a commercial pilot, but she was terrified going up. And he says she
mm,
never got married, but she is a pilot for United. And so it's just so funny, like how, yeah, like how you can be fearful, but how you like embrace that fear and then what can become of it,
right,
you know?
right. And
Yeah.
my coworkers, the guy that taught me, he said, "This is so shocking. Every time I go back for retirements, it was like, you were the last person we thought that would have a gun education business." I mean,
Yeah.
literally, because I was so like this. I mean, when I shot the first time, I leaned back because he was right in my ear. I started crying. I said, "I wanna go home." And I
Oh,
was a supervisor, the only
yeah.
Black supervisor at the time. But I had to humble myself, not even had to, I was humble, because I was learning something new, and I was the only person at the job that hadn't gone through it. But I leaned back and he leaned forward and he said, "You got this, Lynn, you gonna do this." But I
Yeah.
was scared. I was scared, and then to see something in the women that I was experiencing, when I retired, I said, "I'm getting ready to start this because I know what I experienced. So what better person than somebody that has a personal testimony?"
Yeah. Is Ladies of Steel just Black women?
So no, what happened, we've had 3 white women join,
Okay.
And I remember the first person, when she joined, she called me. She had seen an article in the Tribune. She said, "Imma be your first white woman." I said, "Well, come on." And just as sweet as can be, she came to the documentary. And, she clicked. We embraced her, and
Sure.
she came. And then another lady came. She stayed the longest, I believe. And then another lady came, kind of a short, time frame. So I think they came and got what they needed and left. And one, person, Katie, is still more connected. She stayed and did the, NRA Distinguished Expert shooting challenge that we did.
Oh,
And
wow.
so she did it. I paired her up with one of the ladies, and they become best friends. And
Oh,
that's what's been great. I mean,
that's so nice.
people have embraced, one another, but Kathy came to the documentary, and it was really good to see her. And she recognized, I'm in this group with all these African American women. I'm the minority, but I know what we're here for. And we
Yeah.
embrace them as if there was nothing, different. Like I've said to people in interviews, when you look down the range, we're all shooting in the same direction. We all had the same goal to defend ourselves or our family. So you can say it's racism on the gun at the gun range. For me, it's what are we all doing? We're focused on our Second Amendment right and what we need to do to protect ourselves.
Yeah. What have you learned about leadership from growing a community-centered organization?
Well, what I've learned is you cannot accept everybody's money. You have to be willing to walk away from business. You have to not let people destroy your brand. And I'll give you a quick example. A girl asked me to write a chapter in a book,
Okay.
and I wanted to know what the chapters were about, who was writing them, and it didn't align with my brand.
Mm,
And I was real clear of that. So when it comes to leadership, I am very conscious of who I align myself with, who I support with ads, um, and who I let attach themselves to me. Even with my instructors, I've never had turnover. I kept a tight group, and they understood real clear what I wanted them to teach. I wanted it to be consistent, and that I wasn't afraid to say, "Hey, I think you need to change that language." Because that's not what I'd like to portray. So leadership is tough,
mhm.
and, having those tough conversations, they're hard, but the good news is once you have it, unless somebody takes it so personally, you can move on,
Yeah.
and it's tough to have it, but, I've told this story. There was a sorority member, that wanted to take one of our classes, and I had been watching her on Facebook, not intentionally to kinda monitoring her, but when she said, "Oh, yeah, I'm going over on 103rd, and I'm taking class with my soror," I was ready, right? Because I already knew that I was going to say to her, "You need to do a chill out for a minute because I can't let you come and take class because whatever you do is gonna be a reflection of me."
Yeah.
So when she called, she was mad. She cussed me out. I was waiting on the blowback on Facebook, not from people, but just her.
Sure,
And I
yeah.
said to her, "I've seen the anger management. I've seen, and this is not a let me go get my gun and be Annie Oakley and hurt somebody." So eventually, she said, okay, she apologized. She never took class, but I knew that I needed to say, you can't. So when I tell this story, it's not to disparage my sorority. It is to say, this is how far I go, and when I draw the line when it comes to my business, and not just my business, this is related to guns.
Yeah,
This
that's
is
for sure.
serious.
Yeah. Yeah, could you speak to just advice for entrepreneurs coming up just about taking seriously their name and their brand?
Yeah, so one thing that I learned, and I tell you, whenever somebody asks me a question like this, you know what I tell them? Don't let people waste your time.
Yeah.
Girl, I spend so much time letting people give me a pitch and calling me saying, "Can I set up a meeting?" So 10 minutes turns into 30 minutes to an hour. And then you realize you've wasted time because it's something they have that I don't need, right? Or
Yeah.
maybe can't afford or whatever. So, would I tell you that is the single most less and don't chase money and be willing to walk away from a deal and know your worth. But what I do tell people now is, and it changed everything. I said to people, tell them to send you the proposal in writing. See, they don't want to do that. They want to send come talk and convince you. So when I tell them to send it to me in writing, I can tell you I probably get 5 out of 20
Wow.
because they didn't have it in writing. They didn't want to send it and they wanted to come and do this pitch and keep talking and talking till they convince me. I'm not that kind of person that can be easily convinced. So that's the advice, but being able to walk away from a deal and know your worth. Some people will lowball you. And if they can't afford it, well, you know what? Circle back. Let me know when you're ready.
Yeah.
Now, there are things when I did in early on to get going. I did some seminars for free. Um, I priced my classes reasonably, not what they pay in Gurnee. I priced based on competitors in the area. And also, I learned that if I dropped my price lower than $95, I got a different clientele.
Yeah.
And that's what I learned when I did it one time because people said, oh, offer this and lower your price. Oh, honey, it was a whole different clientele. And I said, never again. People will pay what they want to pay. And I said to people, get Google reviews. Don't get people to do stuff in writing, which I did early on. People want to go to Google and Yelp and see tangibly what people got. And I do that and have factored it in. And it has made a difference too with clients.
Okay. And what if yeah, I guess, like, I if people are like, "You're too expensive," you just say, "Okay," or just circle back
Yeah.
when you're ready? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what I do say to people is read my reviews.
Okay.
I challenge you if you take class, if you're not satisfied, I'll give you your money back. Now, I don't
Mm.
do that I don't put that on my website because people are slick,
Yeah.
okay? But I do say to people, I guarantee you my experience is not gonna be like any other business experience. Go read my reviews, over 600 five-star reviews,
Yeah.
no
Wow.
question. So after that, I don't have any issues. I really don't. And one guy said it, and I said, "Okay, I challenge you." And he did. He came to class. He gave a rave review verbally. He
Mm.
said, I know how to do this and da 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 da. And he said, but I learned a lot in here. So I don't let people tell me my classes are too high because I know what they're getting. They're getting information overload. Now, what I will say, I do situational awareness trainings. I have a nonprofit fee and I have a corporate fee. I'm
Yeah.
not stupid because I know it's two different things. But what I won't let people do is tell me that, there's no compensation, but, this would be great exposure. I don't do that.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
And I'll give you a really, really quick example. Organization is having a big conference here. I'm familiar with them because I'm retired law enforcement. And when they called to talk preliminarily about my availability, the girl said, well, I don't think it's any compensation. I can't wait for the person to call me because I've already looked up the registration fees, how many people attend this event. They got stupid money. And you're not gonna have me come and talk in front of these people for a workshop and not pay me because I know you paying somebody else that doesn't look like me. Because that's
Yeah.
the business. I know that. So that's what we have to be smart about just because of an opportunity. I'm not standing up there for free because I've had to prepare. I had to do this, this, and this. And last thing, I've had somebody say, you get paid that for an hour? Yep, because I'm the subject matter expertise.
Yeah.
I'm an expert, so I know what I know, and you're paying for my expertise. And I'm not outrageous, but I'm not gonna let you dumb me down because you don't have a business and you don't think I should get paid this much.
Yeah, and again, it's about guns, you know?
It's about
This is
guns.
very serious.
Yep.
Yeah. Javondlynn, thank you so much. Before you go, I just have one question. How often should folks be practicing gun safety?
My one of my other favorite questions. So,
Yeah.
I always laugh and say the people on the street are practicing,
Yeah.
right? And so if we don't practice, we're not gonna be ready for them. They ready for us, but we're not ready. So once a month, you can take a box of ammo, 50 rounds, and get in and out of the range in less than 30 minutes.
Mm.
Less than 30 minutes. So if you can do one day a month, pick a day when it's not crowded. Practice at 5 yards to get proficient. That's usually where your threat is gonna be, if not closer. But practice at 5 yards. Know where your target is, where you can hit, which is center mass, not headshots, because headshots are here.
Mhm.
If I'm shooting a headshot, I can miss all this space. So the center mass is where all your organs are. So if you practice where you should be proficient at, then you know more than likely you're gonna hit your target. So 50 rounds once a month is what I recommend.
Okay.
That's it. That's it. And then you at least know your gun is clean because you're gonna clean it at some point. You know it's gonna work, and you're not gonna be fumbling if God something happens and I haven't shot my gun in 6 months. Every month, I know I've been pulling that gun out of the holster and I'm shooting that firearm, and I know what I'm doing so that I'm not panicking when it's time to really shoot.
Yeah, that's really great advice. And yeah, that seems simple enough. Where can folks find you?
So, my classes are held on 111th and Kedzie. You can look on my website, jmddefense.com,
Mhm.
and you can look under classes and gift cards and sign up for one of the classes. And that's pretty much it. So it's the website. And if someone wants a personal private lesson, I do provide those one-on-one. Some people don't want to be in a group setting.
Mm.
And so all of the services are right on the website, and a little bit about my background, even more, and some of the instructors and things that we've done.
Thank you so much for providing such a serious service
Thank you.
to our country.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for being on Nosy AF.
I love it, and I thank you for this opportunity. I tell people there are opportunities to get your message across, and this here is a great opportunity to get this message across because it took nothing for me to do this for now. Because I could talk about this all day. I got so many stories. I
Yeah.
loved it.
Yeah, thank you. That concludes another episode of Nosy AF, 31 Days of Black Business. I'm your host and friend, Stephanie Graham. I hope you took something away from today's conversation and had a good time hanging with us. Be sure to check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest and consider supporting their work. You know how it goes, whether you're making a purchase, hiring them, or simply spreading the word. Listen, who doesn't love a referral? It truly all makes a difference. Quick thank yous go out to Queen Lex and Freddie Bam Bam for the Nosy AF theme music, and Emma McGolrick, who hooked me up with the cover art and branding. Shout out to the partners and supporters for this series. You could check them out in the show notes as well. Super grateful for a partner. Hello. That's the show, friends. Until tomorrow, stay curious and take care. Bye.